goes another 20-year-old.
Holy shit, I hate those guys.
Gotta hate 20-year-olds.
Fuck those guys.
Somebody help these 20-year-olds.
It's time to figure it out, Ricky. Don't touch me. Don't fucking touch me.
Hello, and welcome to Too Many Jams, a show about all things 20-year-old. With help from friends, experts, and our own personal experiences, we hope to shed some light on those things that leave our age group lost and confused.
That's so good.
Yeah,
As you can tell, we're joined today by a voice actor. Very talented Blake Johnston with a T.
with the T.
And we'll get into a little bit more about that in a second. If you're watching the video, normally you would see us drinking a few crispy cold beers right now.
Yes.
But we had a bit of a weekend,
We drank all of our sponsors' beer this weekend.
and we weren't able to replenish the supply for today's episode. So we are Sans Farmer in the Sky today.
Yeah, so normally we have some True History Farm in the Sky here. We're really upset about it. They should have known, though, I think, that we had a big weekend and had a shipment for us.
Right.
So I'm going to put this back on them. But otherwise, I got my jewelry on, wrist and rye. Use Jams15 at wrist-rye.com. And otherwise,
I think that's
let's
it.
party.
Should we get into it?
I've got my Gap on,
Yeah.
50% off the Gap.
Are you a big beer drinker?
Yes. I work at a brewery, so.
You know
Oh,
what?
do you?
Fuck.
Shout out Mascot Brewery.
Wait, I thought you said you worked at a
I
restaurant.
work at 2 restaurants.
Oh, okay.
Typical server actor.
Yes, I work at like 2 bar jobs. as
I
well.
work at 3 restaurants.
It's a pissing contest now.
What brewery do you work at?
Mascot. Shout out Mascot.
Oh, okay, nice.
Isn't Mascot like one of Tompkins' favorite? Was that
No,
or was it
it's
Bellwoods?
he likes Collective Arts or
yeah,
Bell
that's right,
in
too.
Bellwoods.
Bellwoods? Oh, Mascot's the one that used to have that rooftop patio.
Yes.
I'm just talking to Kev about that.
You
We
don't
just
have
got-
that anymore?
No, we got smashed by a condo development.
That sucks.
You gone.
You gone.
You gone.
They just threw a big check at him.
Oh, man, I can't imagine the money they tossed them. It was Robert De Niro's like steakhouse chain called Nobu.
Ever heard of him? Oh, that's his?
Yeah. He was
Oh.
there. He was at
Yeah.
the groundbreaking ceremony, like behind the building, too. And
That's
then,
smart.
they also just bought at the Second City, so that like whole like Mercer strip.
They're just taking over.
Yeah, taking over.
De
Shout out
Niro
condos.
wants a piece of Toronto.
Shout out capitalism.
Yeah, you know what? We actually just got bought by condos too. Not even kidding.
Here?
Right here. Not
Yeah.
that we own the place, we're renters, but
Oh, true. It's happening.
you see that truck through the window there, blocking
red
all
one?
of our parking
Yeah.
They're like
spaces?
listening to us right now, probably.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're drilling core samples. They bought the whole block. They're putting in like a 25-story right here.
Wow.
And if you don't own the place,
You can't do anything.
there is no benefit to getting purchased by a condo.
Yeah.
There's only negatives.
Yeah.
Can they not like give you like rent reparations or anything like that? Or are you just like straight fucked? Oh, can I swear?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a
Yes,
lot of people ask that. Yes.
Tight.
It's a common question.
Yeah.
Penis.
You're exactly vagina.
It's coming.
No, there's only downsides. Like I don't think we get any rent back because they'll let us go to the end of our lease, and they're kind of in a gray area taking our parking spots here because they didn't tell us about it. But
we haven't been able to park here for the last
they also
couple weeks.
They also own the whole block, so they're just like parking the neighbors up the way.
Oh, true.
So it's like, okay, like technically we still have parking, but like
Yeah,
I hate
it's
that you
not.
just didn't ask and you
Yeah.
were just like, do this.
And they're listening
'Cause
to
we
us right
own you.
now.
Probably.
Yeah, shout out Madison Group. You can check them out.
Yo, come hang out, dude. Come chill. Yo, we're just hanging out, bro.
But enough about that. And enough about probably you. So we'll move on to us, which is what this show. No, I'm just kidding. No, so serving, we both do it. We talk about it
Hell
a
yeah.
lot. It's the typical grinds.
Yeah, it's I do it because it's so flexible. I can basically
That's it.
go do
Yeah.
auditions and I never have an issue. Work nights, go see shows like after I get off work. Everyone I usually work with is like in the industry.
Yep.
What kind of shows? Like comedy?
Yeah, like I'll go check out like improv and sketch shows. Like TIFF just happened, so I was seeing films more like during the day.
Yeah.
Which
Which movies did you see at TIFF?
I saw Two Popes. It was with Anthony Hopkins and Jonathan Pryce. It was basically about the recent Pope transition that happened. It's a Netflix film and it was really fucking funny. And then I saw, what was it called? It was the Marie Curie biopic, Radioactive, I think it was called. It was really good too. I didn't see much. I basically just worked because both my restaurants are like in that area.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were working
Get that
Getting that
guap.
guap.
Yeah.
I went and saw a movie on Sunday. It was the new Adam Sandler movie
Oh, nice.
called Uncut Gems. Very artistic for Adam
For him?
Sandler. Yeah, and who else was in it? The Weeknd, Kevin Garnett's in it.
What?
It was interesting. It was
Anything is
kind of
possible!
cool, but yeah, kind of weird, but like also cool.
No, the serving thing, we get it. We do it as well too. It's great, except it's also like it's got this like darkness to it, because anytime you're working with someone who's a lot older, you're wondering if they had dreams like you. And then when you're working with young people and you're in there, everybody just like, you really have to swallow your pride.
I remember when I was your age and I was serving, I was going to be the next best comedian out there. Would you like fries with that? Or
Exactly.
side of applesauce?
You have to swallow
Brutal,
your
man.
pride
Yeah.
big time too. Like
Yeah,
people
you're
just
serving people.
you're serving people.
Yeah, you're literally like below them.
Actually, though, and the
You
thing
cannot
is,
Yeah.
be lower.
I think the best way to be a server is to understand that
Yes.
and not be like
Bite your tongue.
don't like not even be like you know what, I got things going on. Just be like, no, like in this role right here,
Yes.
Yeah.
I am below you.
I will bring you your side.
Do you want to briefly touch on that story where you ran into your ex's parents at a serving
Oh my god.
job?
Jokes.
Let's just say I've never seen my ex's dad so happy to see me. Yeah, he's like, I knew he was scum this whole time. But fuck, you just gotta swallow your pride, and the hope is that you get out, and that's what you're working on now. And from what I've heard from Kevin, let's preface this: producer Kev is your friend.
Saw, dude.
So, dude, over there sitting in the corner.
Also, can you tell us quickly who the impression was at the beginning that you did?
Oh, I was the voice of the Kellogg's Frosted Mini Wheat for like 3 years.
That's so funny.
Wait, was that voice trademarked? Are we gonna get stricken here?
Shout out Kellogg's. I hope not.
Yeah.
I don't
we-
do it anymore though. So
Can we like pull up a commercial with the mini wheat?
not with the voice. It's probably not on YouTube, but maybe the one where I was doing like I don't know if it's still up there, but I also did the like feed your inner kid alt with mini wheat cereal. I think it was very like crappy, like a bunch of like dads running around wearing pajamas and like, oh, I'm still a kid, and I'm like eating cereal in my apartment, and it was like, yeah, I think that one might be there.
I'm a big mini wheats guy. My brother is a huge mini wheats guy. You'd probably be like an idol.
Shout
Yeah,
out
yeah.
Robbie's brother.
Shout out Jamie. Can you shout him out in the mini wheats?
Shout out Jamie was sad.
But yeah, so obviously you've gotten some work and you're transitioning into being a bit more of a worker. So what is
Yeah.
of all the artistic stuff you do? Because I know it's a little bit of like comedy, improv, acting, voice acting.
Mhm.
Is voice acting probably the main one?
Yeah, right now for sure. I started as a film and TV actor, but like 5 years ago, and I wasn't really like, I don't know. I felt I was just kind of beating my head against a brick wall trying to get auditions and into rooms with casting directors. And then my agent recommended I do a voiceover demo because it just was kind of quirky and like dumb and weird.
Yeah.
And it paid off. The woman I did the demo with, shout out Kim Herden. She
Doesn't listen, by the way.
yeah, Kim.
Kim's a huge listener.
Come out. I actually might send this to her.
I said it to her. What up, Kim?
Basically, she picked a bunch of spec scripts for the demo, and one of them, sure enough, was Mini Wheats. And then a month and a half later, she got a gig casting for Kellogg's, and she was like, "Oh, I don't even need to do auditions. I know the guy. I didn't even audition for it."
Oh, really?
Became like a 3-year gig. I don't do it anymore. They have a woman doing it now, and
They have
it's
a younger,
hot milk.
better, more attractive, everything.
There's some bullshit. But she's great, and they were doing like this hot milk campaign in the winter.
They
It's
would
like
get a girl to do a
with a
hot milk
K or
campaign.
with
hot ooh.
Sorry, you guys missed that. I'm just gonna let that slide. You guys didn't hear that. That's all right. The listeners probably did.
The listeners know all. They
sorry.
see y'all.
What was that side conversation?
Yeah, they were just they're like doing like hot milk now. It's like a completely different campaign. But I guess it's summer. I don't know if they're still doing it. But it's a sick gig. I'm not doing it anymore though.
So voice acting is your main gig.
Yes.
When you're doing the roles before, like acting and TV, were you trying to get like serious roles, comedy roles?
My agent didn't want me to do comedy because he was like, you're just going to be looked at by the casting directors as a comedy actor. But for me, it's like, that's my strength. Let me do it. Let me do it. So I was doing like all these like bit parts for like Rain, Rookie Blue, all these like miscellaneous
Yeah.
was on the show in the UK called Handsome Devils, where I was like a cop and I had to like pull my gun out on a vampire. Like it was tight.
So they brought you out to the
Can we
UK.
find all this stuff?
Handsome
on-
Devil, like I have a demo reel probably
Yeah.
on YouTube, but like I highly doubt that like Handsome Devils is just on like some miscellaneous YouTube channel. You could probably like torrent it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what would be. Bakugan's probably on. It is on YouTube actually right now. It's a.
Do you have an? You know what? Do you just have an IMDb?
Yes.
So just
Okay, yeah.
just
You know, we'll just link that.
We don't need you to
Perfect.
list every
Yeah.
credit you've ever
Yeah.
had.
I did this and this and
Yeah, it's just like.
Bakugan, no, you haven't heard of it. Okay,
Yeah, no one's heard of it unless you're like 11 years old.
Yeah, just if you want to look, if you want to dive deep, go
Yeah.
there. It's whatever. It's where you go.
Shout out IMDb and the $130 I have to pay a year.
No.
Racket.
Actually,
Yeah, it's brutal, man.
to have a profile on there?
Well, not just a profile. They basically like extort actors to pay $130 a year so you can like see what's in production, see who is represented by this person. Who you just get like a bunch of like phone numbers and emails that you like never use anyway. So
Speaking
Yeah.
of extorting actors, just a little tidbit I heard on a podcast, but
is
apparently
it your
if-
podcast?
Yes. I heard it telling myself it last week. Basically, when you get into, was it Screen Actors Guild or whatever? Like
SAG,
the
yeah.
SAG, the big one, you get insurance. You get this like really nice insurance and
Mhm.
everything's amazing. And the second you stop, and the movies you work on will usually cover it or the payments or stuff like that. And the second you stop working, you obviously want to stay in SAG. You have to take over these insurance payments, and they're just like gargantuan because like the movie companies would just pay it before and they're really loaded.
Interesting.
And when you're a working actor, and the second you're not working on a project, no one pays that for you.
oh, Christ,
Like,
I
how
didn't
much are
know
we
that.
talking?
Like, didn't get that figure, but enough that a famous person was complaining about it, and they have a lot
Okay.
of money, which means it's probably a lot of money.
In Canada, it's kind of the same way. Like when I was doing mini wheats, I was applied, or I was what the fuck's the word? I was granted the insurance premiums they had, but now that I'm not doing it anymore, I'm not hitting that like minimum bar,
Mhm.
so I have to pay into that as well. But I'm not
Okay.
forced to pay it.
Ye-
Were they forced to pay the money?
To stay
Yeah.
involved, yeah.
Oh, that's brutal.
Pretty
yeah.
sure. Or to keep your insurance. That's what it
Yeah.
was. To keep your insurance, obviously. And they were like, it's good insurance. And like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You
And
get everything.
does voice acting compensate you like just as well as like a regular actor would?
Have you
to
ever
be
heard
honest-
of Kristen Bell in Disney?
Yeah, she's crushing it.
Yeah.
She's crushing it.
Yeah.
The voice acting I'm doing right now is dubbing, and it is on the lower scale because I'm basically doing voiceover work for a pre-existing Japanese cartoon, just doing like the English side of it.
Oh, okay. So that's
So
what dubbing
cool.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like karaoke. Like literally, the line will be on the screen, and
Yeah.
it'll be like a 5-second countdown, and then when it gets to 1, it changes from green to yellow, and then when it hits 0, basically this little like meter goes across, and you basically have to match your cadence and rhythm with that while you're also acting and projecting and doing what the character needs and whatever. And
Interesting. And
Yeah.
does it
That's
take a little
crazy.
while to sort of get that down, or
thankfully, like I picked it up quickly because I've been playing guitar forever. So I have like rhythm kind of naturally. I mean, I listen to like a lot of metal, so
Yeah.
like there's a lot of like time signatures changes that I have to like kind of keep up with. So I found it was very easy for me to pick up. But talking with Susan Hart, shout out Susan Hart, the casting director for it, she was like, if you don't have a rhythmic bone in your body, you are screwed.
You can't voice
for
act.
this. Yeah, you can't do dubbing at least.
so even with you having it down, like how many takes would it like? Can you breeze through it pretty quickly?
Yeah, and
now
what
that
they
you're on
do-
set, and
What they do basically is if you hit a line really well and they like it, they kind of just keep going. They'll only stop if they like, let's try that different, or let's see if we can change that. They also have a sound engineer in the room. He can basically like tighten, elongate, cut it, and they can just see exactly how it fits with the character's mouth flaps.
yeah,
It's cool to see it like actually.
The character's mouth flap, excuse me. Is that the technical term?
not flat.
I suppose so. Yeah, it's sick. It's been my like first foray into like anime, and it's really cool.
very
do
cool.
you do you watch the show now that you're on it?
Oh yeah, but I started recording in April, and the first 2 episodes have come out. We recorded the season finale yesterday, and they're like not even close to being at the end of the season, like airing wise.
Okay. And I feel like Bakugan is a name I recognize. Is this like a relatively big show?
For kids that are like under 12 years old, yeah, it's
They
huge.
go nuts for it,
It's
eh?
huge. It's basically
Like
the-
YTV?
Sorry, you said it's
Yes.
Japanese.
Yeah, it's a like they do the animations in Japan, and then they basically have different voiceover actors for different languages just do over the mouth flap. So I
Yeah,
do the English
the mouth
flap.
for like North America, maybe in London and British. I don't know, but they yeah, I go in whenever they need the character. I'm like a recurring villain on it. It's on Cartoon Network, YTV, Teletoon. Yesterday we were just announced that we're going to be on Netflix.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. And
What are other current projects that you're working on right now?
Rob, I am motherfucking D. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I got a documentary I recently directed was in Hot Docs. It was
Yeah.
about Nicolas Cage's stand-in, his like body double basically.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and that was a really cool experience. And then I've just been doing Bakugan for the past like 4 months, working on some like short films. They want to like flesh out, and that's about it for like projects.
Do
Not
you
really-
do you do anything to like work on? Do you do acting classes or improv classes or?
The reason, well, this is funny. The reason why Kev reached out to me is because I've recently started to do a lot more online stuff. Like I do a lot of like stuff with like Snapchat filters and just like quick characters that are like 6 to 10 seconds.
He was showing me some of that stuff.
Oh, I haven't seen any.
He took me through a reel of you doing a bunch of impersonations with these Snapchat
Yeah.
filters on. It was hilarious.
That's something we can add into the end of the video.
Yeah.
Kev's got something to say.
No, I was just gonna say I haven't really been talking to Blake very much.
Is that on?
besides- Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
good.
not an amateur.
Just making sure.
Yeah, I think you're for it.
No, I
think you're
haven't
good.
talked to him in person in a while. We haven't like seen each other, but just like through Instagram and through just being hungover and watching his stories. And
That's the
laughing
audience,
my ass
the
off.
hungover audience.
Pretty
Is what
much
I
it.
go for.
So wait, let's plug. You put this on your Insta?
Yeah.
Let's plug that right now.
Can you get on Instagram for
Plugged.
Well, like just put put it in for the listeners
for
to
me?
follow. Yeah.
Blake Johnstagram. I know it's like it's just like a stupid play on words, but it's stuck, and I'm just gonna roll with it.
Okay, Blake Johnstagram. If you want to know that spelled, just look at the podcast description.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta watch these. Well, maybe we can put in that reel at the end if there's like just like a little edit of them.
Yeah.
So you're thinking that like kind of skit, Insta comedy, voice acting, and if you can get stuff on shows or like you want to pay your bills, you want to be a career in the industry person. Are you worried about being spread too thin, not focusing on one craft?
Yeah. I've found I've been very burnt out in the past, and I do feel kind of burnt out now because there's so many things you can do in this industry, and I found I was really burnt out a couple of years ago because I was trying to do like 8 different things. I want to do film and TV acting. Oh, I want to do motion capture work. Oh, I want to do commercial voiceover acting. Oh, I want to do theater. And it's just, there's too much.
Sorry, what's motion capture work?
So for video games, when you put on like a mocap suit, it's like basically like Velcro with like those little balls on it.
You've seen the videos of somebody wearing like
Yeah.
pretending to be like a monkey, like Andy Serkis.
or the guy playing like the dragon in Lord of the Rings or
Benedict
whatever.
Cumberbatch.
Yeah, have you not seen those
Yes,
videos?
I have.
He's got dots all over his face, and he's just like playing a dragon. They
Oh,
animate
that's
over
how
that.
they get them to.
Yeah.
They basically, there's like 40 cameras tracking your every movement, and then they basically superimpose you into like an animation.
Okay, I
Whether
didn't
it's
know it was
film or
called
video
that.
game. Yeah, it's really sick. But
So you've done some of that previously?
yeah, I did a really sick program called Mocap U recently, where we went to Pinewood Studios and we got to like work in a volume and just like flesh out some scenes from some famous video games like Uncharted, The Last of Us. It was really sick. But the video game industry in Toronto is still kind of like getting going. So there isn't much work for it, but it's cool to like have my demos and like have experience doing it. But that's just another example of like there's so many things you can
and
do.
you seem interested in it all. And if
Yeah,
the point of the podcast is literally too many jams. It's like having too many options.
Oh, cool.
It's the same thing like coming out of university. Like other than I had some health issues, I literally was thinking like I could do anything. What do I want to be? There's
the boy healthy now?
like I'm like at 9.
The boy sounds healthy and
It was concussion stuff, so it's
Oh,
like
shit.
it's like a hidden illness. So looking fine, feeling weird.
Were you playing sports?
The concussions.
You've always been playing sports.
The concussions probably came from a history of sport concussions, but the bad ones were from bar fights.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Bar scrapper.
bar scraps. I'm not, but
People think he is though, and that's what gets him into
dude,
issues.
I don't know what it is. People
He's just a
want to punch
target.
me, dude.
The first, I just want to smash it.
No, what I got in bar fights when I had a girlfriend and people were like smacking her butt and stuff.
Fuck.
And those ones I did fine in because I know I'm in a fight. The ones I lose are
Sucker
the
punch.
sucker punch. Yeah.
It's what University of Western is known for.
Sucker punches.
Oh, you went to Western?
I went to Western.
That's what I.
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Same with me.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. Shout out Jim
So,
Bob's.
no, this is okay. This is probably a perfect segue to bring us back because I always am curious about what you were like as a middle schooler, like always into theater. Like how does a dream develop is what I like to know.
It's probably like at its root very like psychological based, where I was a middle child not getting a lot of attention when I was younger. Like,
Same.
yo, shout out,
Props.
shout out, no love. My little sister, she's 7 years younger than I am. My brother's 2 years older, so I'd like my first memories were always of like Cassie, like being really young and like
Taking all your attention.
yeah, my parents giving her a lot of attention. So I found like I would always like lash out and try and get like negative attention from like my mom and like my dad. And like I peed in my brother's cereal when I was like 8 because I
His
wanted.
mini wheats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out. I think it was Cheerios. Shout out Cheerios.
For some reason, that's what I thought of when you said peed in his cereal. So
Nothing better than Honey Nut.
Wait, did he eat them without
No,
knowing?
I got spanked. He didn't eat them. I don't know. And then from that, I was just always like the class clown acting out. My first role ever was in grade 2. I was like Eddie the laughing hyena in The Lion King. And just that like adrenaline rush of being on stage in front of like hundreds of people and getting laughs was like
you remember that. It's like a
it was
defining moment.
intoxicating.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow.
And then I was
And you know what? Chloe spoke about that the other
Cool.
day too. So our last guest that we had on the podcast last week, she's also trying to get into acting, and she spoke about how like she took this improv class, and one of the defining moments for her was when she first started acting or performing, and she just kind of remembered that feeling. She's like, it's all over.
yeah, it's very addictive.
But yeah, I can't believe at 2 years old you still remember that. Like,
Yeah.
so it's defining you. But were you sporty? Were you like?
Yeah, I was. I played a lot of hockey growing up. I played GTHL AA hockey for like 6 years.
Yeah.
So my parents basically just like took me out to hockey, like dry land training.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
5 nights a week. I played soccer a
What
lot.
team?
I was with the Braves.
Okay.
Mississauga Braves.
Oh, you're in the West End.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was in Mississauga, and then I just became like a huge pothead in high school and just played like house league with my buddies. And
That's
that was
awesome.
tight.
It's honestly that's a AA trajectory.
Yeah.
I remember, because AA it's like it's good hockey.
Yeah, it is.
Don't get me wrong, it's good hockey. But you're not even in the league. Like AAA is a league where you might get pulled up to something.
Yeah.
So you're below the league where you might get pulled up to something. So it's a lot of like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know, especially as you're getting older. I remember thinking the same thing. I get to high school, I'm like, I want to party on weekends.
Yeah.
I know how much work I'd have
exactly
to
what
put in to
happened.
be in AAA, and then even then, how much work beyond to make it to the next league. And then I remember like my dad just being like, "You're not gonna make this.
Yeah.
You're not gonna make
Son,
it." Yeah.
you suck.
Like he didn't say that. He's like, obviously you could if you put in the work, you could, but he's like, you're not putting in the work.
I couldn't keep up physically, like puberty wise. I remember like I was a smart hockey player. I just like couldn't keep up with like my shot and my skating because these Italian kids, they eat all the pasta. They get so big.
Yeah, they had like beards in grade 8.
Yeah, just
man.
fucking like muscle me off the puck like so easily. It's like, oh, my career's over.
Yeah, I was a late bloomer too. Anyway, enough about it brings back.
your puck.
I always think I have potential.
boys.
Like we had like a D1 hockey player on, and I'm just sitting there looking at him, being like, I could have been you. If I just developed sooner.
Because you got fairly good size now, and that's just as important at the younger ages.
I
as
didn't
well.
have. I was a very weak,
Yeah.
skinny guy, and then in uni I packed on 20.
Oh, sick.
Like 165 to 185 in
Nice.
like second year, and then I just remember being like a big guy now,
Yeah.
and it just changed how you play hockey.
Can't even like remember what it was like before then
No,
too, right?
and then I went back and I played a rec game with my high school team that I just left 2 years before,
Mhm.
and was just knocking these little
Sick.
boys off me. And I remember being like, if I was just 20 pounds heavier in high school, what
Would've been different.
what would that have meant for my career? But
Yeah.
you live and learn. My body's falling apart, so it's for the
Yeah.
better, like the concussions, as I said.
Yeah.
But you're playing hockey. I
Uh-huh.
always mix in a lot about me in these episodes.
Yeah,
by the way,
I love it.
it's what we do. But no, you're playing hockey. You go to house league. You're smoking a lot of weed, having some fun.
Yeah.
Still not in the arts program. Still, what are you thinking of? Like, what are you doing in school? What are your parents asking you about? Like,
I mean, I was just like passing and like getting good grades. They really wanted me to go to university. That was their like first and foremost. So I was doing like high school plays and stuff, like nothing too extravagant. And then I applied for some acting schools going out of university or going out of high school. Sorry, and I don't know. I like took the safer route and went to Western with like all my buddies. Like my best friends went there. I took MIT, Media Information and Technoculture.
Bunch of friends.
It's a great program. I knew like 2 years into it, I was like, fuck, like I need to act again. Like it's
you're
an
just doing
itch.
essays and like,
and like, oh, the world is screwed because of media, and like, there's only so much.
Yo,
you can do
on
with it.
paper, MIT seems like it would be like fairly relevant to that world, but then you get into the program, you're like, it's just writing a bunch of nonsense the entire time.
I have a
right?
question about MIT. In social science, all the textbooks I read, no joke, made me think all these awful things about like the glass ceiling and like just the way they taught these issues. I would leave classes like angry. I was like, did my mom get treated like this? You know what I mean? Like the wage gap is 70 cents. I'm like, my sister's gonna make 70 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
And I was just like so fired up. And then like in reality, it wasn't, there's some stuff, but it was nothing like these textbooks.
Yeah.
And it made me so fired up, and I could see how if they were teaching that hardcore, how people come out like angry and stuff. There was no like solutions either. It was just like, this exists.
But the irony of that is most of the people I know from the program are just in like advertising. They're in marketing. They're in PR. They're just like feeding into that system more and more and
So
more.
the people that are running the marketing and the media and stuff like that,
They know how to manipulate it because they've studied how people have manipulated it in the past. It's just like, it's such a weird mind fuck.
but was MIT like that? Were your textbooks like that too?
They just basically outlined how like, you know, how the media can manipulate people through information and technology. And I know a lot of people that are like successful that I know from MIT. They were like making, like really well-written essays based on one stance or another, but now they're in the field of marketing, advertising, making good money with big clients because they know how to like manipulate and persuade. And it's kind of like, not really using your influence for good there.
Not using your powers for good.
No.
So did you finish your MIT program?
Yeah. And
You didn't want to be like a cool creative dropout?
Oh, I have to drop out. I have to do it. No. Randomly fulfilled.
I'm wasting my time in this establishment.
Kind of was, but in fourth year, I started doing a lot more acting and performing. I was coming home to Toronto every weekend to do like independent films, student films. And then when I graduated, I was like, I'm just going to go for it.
So your hobby through high school and through uni was just, if there's some acting, you'll do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a passion. You didn't think you'd make a career out of it.
Yeah.
But that was just like the kind of thing that kept you like, I want to do more of that. I want to do more of that. After MIT, you come home and you're like, you know what? I'm going for it.
I'm a go. And it went well.
What'd your parents say?
My mom's always been like supportive of me, but she's always like, one day you'll figure it out. You'll leave the career soon enough. It's like, well, I mean, I get it because she wants me to start a family, be successful. She wanted that grandkid. Yeah. And but I think now she's starting to see that like I'm actually starting to have like success in the industry. She's like, okay, like he's got it. Like my brother Kevin, that's how Kevin and I know each other. My older brother.
Oh, okay.
He's a lawyer for Blake's and he makes a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a tough one to follow.
Yeah, but he's like super supportive of me and everything. And
you know why he's super supportive?
Why that?
Because being a lawyer at Blake's, although to the outside world you have all this shiny greatness, on the inside he's working like a dog.
Yeah, he is.
And he's just like, follow your dreams.
He was very artistic as well.
Yeah,
it is, right? And for me, like there's instances where I'm like, it'd be nice to have that security, 9 to 5, the
9 to
salary.
9.
Yeah, exactly,
At
right?
Blake's.
Yeah.
8 to 9, 7 to 9.
Yeah, he gets slammed, but he always checks in on me and makes sure like I'm like how's my career going, and he's
any
been very-
lawsuits I can help you with.
Yeah, he's oh man, the amount of contracts he's like read over and like helped me out with and stuff, and been like that I don't like that part.
Yeah, right here you just signed over your whole bank account.
Yep,
Maybe
you're fucked.
You signed this? Oh,
yeah,
that's cool though.
Yeah, he's great.
So you dabbled in a bunch of in all areas of the industry, trying to figure out. And what have you like really settled on these
Voiceover
days.
acting.
Voiceover acting.
Yeah.
And
Because I'm auditioning for some like great projects, and there's no like politics about the industry. It's just kind of like, what can you do?
yeah.
Where I find in Canada, it's a lot harder for like you to kind of like get seen by casting directors. I feel like they're a lot more conservative. Whereas in the voiceover industry, it's very like, oh, your demo is great, we'll bring you in. Whereas there's more politics involved with who they're bringing in for certain roles, whether it's ethnicity or gender.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the
Yeah.
trajectory of a voice over actor? You know, like starting down, like you're doing like commercials and stuff,
Mhm.
but like what would be some goals for you in the industry?
I hit a goal recently with this kid show Bakugan I've been doing. I wanted to be recurring on anything really. And then next would be to be a lead, to be like one of the main people. I'm like one of the main villains, but I'm in like every like 10 to 15 episodes. I'm not like in there every day, every single episode like some of them are. And basically just you want to set goals and you want to like achieve those goals. And then once you're not, that's when you kind of need to reevaluate things. And I found with film and TV acting, it just wasn't going out for anything. I wasn't booking anything. Like I had an audition recently for the Umbrella Academy on Netflix.
Yeah.
The audition went well, but like, I was so rusty, like, cause I'm not like putting my energy towards it. Like I take classes for voiceover acting. I'm like practicing it every day. I'm doing sketches that are like impression based and all that kind of stuff. So like my energy is going towards that. It'd be like if I were to do like a sketch show on stage, like I haven't done it in forever.
That's what I was going to ask you. So are you toning back the other stuff?
Yeah.
You've made that decision.
I'm trying to, and I'm a
Keep
lot
that-
less stressed.
Keep that locked.
I'm a lot less stressed out. I'm a lot less stressed out. And I'm finding that it's good. And it's a lot easier to like hit goals when you're just not like
You know what?
jumping everywhere.
You know what it felt like is with voice acting, just the way you described it, it feels like there's actually a lot more of like a natural progression. Once you've done X, the people at the next level are a lot more open to see. Whereas with acting, I feel like you can get top role and be nobody the next role again.
Yep.
It's just like they are looking for a certain thing, and whether you're nobody, you can get discovered, or whether you're an everybody, you can get no work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like, whereas I feel like voice actors, they want to know that you can hit this basic line and then you're into this next pool and you don't have to start over every time.
Yeah, it's all about like kind of like carving a role in it. So basically, an example I use for voiceover acting is there's a guy named Rob Tinkler. He's a phenomenal voiceover actor in the city.
And a phenomenal last name.
Yeah,
The Tinkler.
yeah, he's a really good dude, and like he's on Bakugan, and basically like he does like teenagers really well. He's got this really like good high pitched voice. Like he does a lot of the stuff on Total Drama Island.
Yeah.
And basically like
You would know that. I think it's like a YTV,
yeah, it's like a
Teletoon thing.
Okay.
And basically like they won't have auditions if they need, let's say like a 16-year-old surfer. They're like, oh, like we know Rob can do that. Like there's no aesthetic barrier where like I probably in the film world, I won't go out for high school anymore. Right. Like I don't even really go out for like old dad. Whereas in voiceover, it doesn't really matter what your age is. Tara Strong is one of the best female voiceover actors. She's Tommy Pickles, Timmy Turner, and she's like,
no kidding.
She's like 45, and she can do like the squeaky, like, oh really, like, hi Amy, like she just like crushes it.
And she gets put on any show that they have that spot.
Yeah, and then like on the other end of the spectrum, like it's harder to break into the industry because there's no age limit, like there's no like longevity. You can just keep it going.
Whereas if you're going for the role of like 25-year-old guy,
you can outgrow that in film.
I got you.
What would you say some of your like your specialty voices, you know, like on your resume, like
or your okay,
or even in like maybe some impressions after, but like, you know, like on your resume when people are looking like for a certain character, what would your like, you know, sort of best voices?
Damn it, Dale. Bobby, get off the damn roof.
Hey, Dad, I'm on the roof.
John Redcorn. Why are you sleeping with my wife?
I'll tell you what, I'm dangle man, no bang on roof, no, hang on, bang on dangle.
So you can do every character from King of the Hill.
Yeah, that was just off the top of my head. I need to start doing more impressions.
But like you don't have like Instagram
Well,
regulars that
serious?
you do?
Zoidberg is kind of like that. I can do that.
Oh, hey, Dum Dum. That's the great Kazoo, I think, and kind of Stewie Griffin as well from Family Guy.
Yeah, okay.
Who else can I can do like Mo Sizlak from The Simpsons pretty well, but it's also kind of like just like a generic like New Yorker accent. Hey, everybody, tuck your pants into your socks. That's my favorite Simpsons line.
So you don't have regular impressions that you do in your skits on Instagram or anything?
No. If like I see a filter that's recurring and like I do like just like a shitty like Guy Fieri impression with this one guy that has like really funny like a goatee with like blonde hair.
Do you think it's almost funnier to not be totally perfect
Yes,
with the accent?
110%.
I do think as well.
Like my Guy Fieri accent's like this, and it doesn't sound anything
You're
like
like making
him.
fun of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like when you see like the filter with like the goatee and like the big hair, and
In this episode of Diners, Drives, and Dashes,
like it's I don't know, it's funnier to like that. Even like the King of the Hill ones I did, like they're a little off, and I think it's just funny. You don't want to be like completely perfect, especially when you're doing comedic. If you're doing like serious, sure.
What about, do you do any serious celebrity impressions?
I used to do a good Matthew McConaughey, but I haven't really done much of it recently. Time is like a flat circle. It only opens up when you watch it in the mirror of the moon, rising up and down.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
But yeah, okay. I forgot you were asking him what his like voice acting main
Yeah,
things are, like the niche you're trying to
So-
carve out.
Still figuring that out. I find I play scatterbrained really well. Just like high energy.
Okay.
I have like really good just like riffing. I can kind of just like
Did they ever get you at improv in voice acting?
not really.
Yeah.
You can do these things called isms, where like an ism would be like "I caramba" that Bart Simpson does.
Okay.
Just something you can like lead a line into, or you can like laugh and then say the line. Like that's probably the extent of the improving you can do. Maybe you can ad lib a bit, but they don't want you to change it too much because for the most part, the people that are listening to your tapes are the producers who are also the writers. So they want you to like be as on written word as possible, especially for video games. Video games, like the people that are casting are the writers.
Okay.
And so if you're not like line perfect, I had an audition yesterday for a video game and I said like more considerate instead of considerate, and it was a really good take. And I was like, no, I have to redo that
Okay.
because I added a word.
Dude, you know why? They probably in the video games they always have the subtitles. It's probably all
100, yeah.
animated in there already, and
Yeah.
they're like, no, we ain't
110%.
going back and changing that.
Oh yeah.
You say the word. No, it's super cool. It's just we had two like home run guests in a row where I just like knew nothing about the world.
Totally.
I'm learning so much about voice
Especially
acting. Right
this voice acting. I had like no idea.
There's similarities. Like I can understand a little bit just from going to auditions and I can kind of visualize what you're doing. But all this stuff about the career, the trajectories, and the isms, and carving your niche, and how you kind of progress has been super cool.
Yeah. You basically just develop like, it's called a character tree. It's one of the techniques where you basically have your foundation as a voiceover actor, and then you have branches, and you kind of, if they ask for a certain thing, you can kind of go to that branch and just like play it. And then like, oh, maybe I can add like this little element. Maybe I can make this a narcissistic surfer because he's a little egotistical, or maybe I can make him a lonely surfer from this branch. And then you're not like grasping at straws. You kind of have like more of a foundation, I guess.
That made a
building
lot of
that.
sense.
I'm like, I'm still like super new. So
Well, my other questions are like it's clear that you have a passion. Are you still in the phase where you're doubting your passion, or are you kind of like, no, I can do this if I stick with it?
I've always had confidence in myself to do it. It's just about staying consistent. I found that's been a problem, especially with like in the past. I've like always tried to do so many different things, and I feel like that has, in one sense, like I've built like a foundation of a lot of things, but in another sense, I've like shot myself in the foot. Because if I had like just done, comedic theater acting and like sketch and improv and stand up for like 5 years, I'd probably be like decently far ahead in my career. Whereas I feel like I'm still middling a bit, but I'm in my late 20s. Like I'm putting too much pressure on myself when I'd say that kind of stuff.
Maybe also, I think the only way I could narrow down things is by trying all those stuff.
This is exactly why I did it.
Right.
At least in my head.
You'd be maybe an unhappy voice actor if you just landed on that and was like, but I don't know if I like motion capture better.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so
That's the only way to do it.
Yeah, it is an exercise in itself, and we're in the same boat. Like Robbie's 2 years younger than you, I'm a year younger than you, and we're just getting to the point now where we're narrowing down a wide field of fucking everything that we do, laying foundations and realizing what we're good at. and it feels late, but you're right. We're putting too much pressure, and I think even if like we just want to get a living. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to like. It would be awesome to be a superstar, whatever, but like just getting past that hump of being paid and living this lifestyle
Yeah.
that we live is paradise for me. Anything beyond that's a bonus.
Yeah, and that's why we work in restaurants and serve people.
Yeah, exactly. Like
It's great
the
money,
day,
and it's
the day that you can stop working, multiple jobs, and then your sole focus is, either voiceover acting or music for us, that'll be a landmark
Yeah.
day.
So
one of these days.
do you find this lifestyle affects other parts of being in your 20s, like dating,
Oh yeah, fuck.
time with friends, going out? Like
Yeah.
what are your kind of just like hot takes on each of those, starting with like relationships, dating?
You gotta sacrifice a lot, and I think a lot of my friends would be able to tell you that. And I've kind of been able to weed out the not so great friends that have kind of made me feel like shit for like sacrificing things for acting, like not going out and like partying my tits off until like ye old hours of the morning because I have like an audition the next day.
Do you go out much?
I dabble.
Dabble, yeah.
I'm
Couple
like
pops.
I'm like a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday kind of go out guy.
Yeah, that's what I
Industry
find too.
nights.
Yeah, exactly.
Being in the industry, it's like you're either it's hard to make time to go out with friends outside of
Yeah.
like your working schedule plus personal creative stuff that you're involved with, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of the time that you're going out, it's you're like it's after work beers with like coworkers
The people I
or
work with,
right?
Well, I've been trying to do. I always try to have my cake and eat it too.
Ooh.
So I'm always trying to figure out a way to be like a creative, but also like have what I want, which is like my weekends and
Yeah.
stuff. So instead of doing too much serving jobs, I've been focusing on like running businesses, small businesses with friends, like the jewelry company that was a sponsor at the
Oh, nice.
beginning, and we female jewelry company with a friend, and real estate photography. They're-
Real estate photography.
They're just like small businesses that you can operate with a modest amount of work
Yeah.
per week and make some cash and cover maybe the shortfalls that maybe a second serving gig would get,
Yeah.
And if any of them get bigger, sure, they'll take more time
Yeah, they
and
take over.
you'll eliminate your other serving jobs
Yeah.
and stuff. But I think the ideal situation for me would be working a flexible business that you own, paying your bills while you support yourself creatively, and
Yeah.
then also you get your weekends and your evenings like as a normal
That would be
employed
ideal.
person.
Yeah. Just become one of those Instagram motivational guys like Gary V.
Dude, we do this at the house almost every morning. We have like these like motivation like life chat sessions.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I'm putting in the reps. But so dating wise, taking girls out, are you trying to avoid it, or you have a girlfriend?
I've been single for about 8 months now. Been going on some dates.
Okay.
Seen some pretty
Like
ladies.
Tinder,
Having fun.
Bumble, or
I
how do you
can't
meet?
that stuff, man?
How do you meet these girls?
I'm going on a date with someone this weekend, and I went on a date, and we met at a TIFF party.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you're doing the old fashioned route. Just
Yeah.
meet someone you like, talk to them, ask them out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. IRL.
you know what? You look like who's the guy from that show you're watching recently? It was like True Lies or whatever. The same guy from Step Brothers.
I get
The
Adam
husband?
Scott. Adam Scott.
Is
Yeah.
that him?
Yeah, I get Adam Scott a lot. That was the first person I thought of. I was like, oh, he's gonna say Adam Scott.
Yeah, I just the way
Parks
you said
and
that.
Recreation. Yeah.
Yep. I just
Yeah.
got that vibe.
I also get Jason Mraz.
Oh, I can see that. What about Ed Norton? I've seen a bit of Ed Norton.
I would love that. I mean, that's like ideally like a film trajectory. Like I'd love
Like
to
if
have
if
his
you were
career.
getting into more film, you'd start getting facial modification to
Yeah.
look more like Ed Norton.
I hear he's an asshole though.
Oh,
but,
really?
Yeah, but
you could be a stunt double.
yeah, that'd be tight.
How many? This question just popped into my head. When you're doing voiceover acting,
Mm-hmm.
how many actors would you be doing at once? Like at sometimes would you be like how you were just talking with like 3 or 4 characters going there? Would you be doing that like
It
live
depends.
recording as well?
They usually bring you in for one character, but for example, on Bakugan, sometimes they'll do additionals, and they'll be like,
Can you do this one?
yeah, like, can you do the miscellaneous guard? It's one line. I mean, like, come on, let's go, or something like
Yeah,
that. They don't
yeah.
want to audition that. They don't want to bring that in. They're like, okay, we'll just get Blake to do these like weird side characters. just like cheering me on in the background or whatever.
What about when those actors that you mentioned that I know that do several characters on the same show?
Oh yeah, they probably would do that in the same session. I don't do that right now. That'd be tight though if you could get that down.
Like Family Guy, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
he does
MacFarlane.
multiple, right?
And Trey Parker and Matt Stone from South Park.
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane, I don't know how much he's involved with Family Guy anymore. Like, I know he's not one of the writers. He's, I think he's relinquished showrunning duties because he's doing the
Movies?
Orville.
Oh.
And Family Guy's like a completely different beast now. I loved the early seasons of that show. I do not watch it. Same with The Simpsons. I'm like a diehard seasons 2 to 9 Simpsons fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of the best writing.
Do you have any interest in writing your own show?
Yes.
Like Seth MacFarlane or Trey and
Yeah.
Matt Stone?
Currently writing a short film. It's a live action adaptation of a dog that is recently adopted into a home and how he interacts with all the other pets. It's called Bagel, and I would be playing Bagel the Beagle. It's a monologue I've performed a bunch on stage, and I just wanted to adapt it for a short film. And then the aesthetic is like big comfy couch, Pee-wee's Playhouse, just like very like gonzo, big colors, weird set pieces, and then it's just a bunch of human actors dressed up as animals. And there's no dialogue. So it's very like slapstick based. Three Stooges, Mr. Bean. There's a French director named Jacques Tati from like the 70s. I really like his stuff. It's just like universally so funny. And you don't really have to do much. You don't have to like land a punchline of a joke because all you need is like 2 escalators and just film people going up and down them. And you can do so many different things and it's really funny.
Neat.
Like way back, Charlie Chaplin.
Oh yeah,
or like
Buster Keaton.
Yeah, Buster. Yeah, that guy's.
They're more like pain.
They like pain.
Like
yeah.
they're like hurting themselves for the bit, which is great. But like, yeah, I don't think this would be
a
like,
less painful version.
Yeah, I wouldn't like
of that.
smash in my face
And
with a
less
2x4. Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm enjoying fleshing out and just gonna see what happens.
You know what? There's a lot of people that would hear ideas like that and be like, oh, like where's the money? Like, well, what are you gonna? I'm the opposite. I'm like, I like that you like something and
Yeah.
you're doing something different, and those are the stuff that I think it's the stuff that people say won't work is the stuff that either works the best or actually doesn't work.
Yeah, just try and make it happen.
Just make it
Go for
happen.
it.
Go for it, and it could just be because it's unique. I haven't seen much like that recently.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Bean was one of the biggest TV shows on the planet in the 90s.
Yeah.
And now he's knighted.
Actually?
Rowan Atkinson's a
No
knight.
shit.
Yeah,
Wow.
he wears like the big suit and got the big
That's
sword.
so funny.
Protects the queen.
Mr. Bean's hilarious
Yeah,
too.
it's really funny.
Used to
It's
love
on
that.
Netflix. It's really good.
Watching it younger.
Well, you know what? I think that was the end of. I couldn't get to my phone, so I couldn't remember the list of things I had. But we had some other things. We just like we wanted to ask you a bunch of questions, but then we also just we like to shoot the shit at the end.
Yeah, man.
And
This has been great.
Rob has some.
Okay, so I was reading this paper, the Porter Post or Mr. Porter Post, irrelevant. But anyways, in it there was a section where it listed some of the world's craziest delicacies.
Oh, tight.
And me and Trav were just started joking about how delicacies are like
Just another word for shit food somewhere else.
bad food, you know?
That's really funny. There's a stand-up bit.
100%.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard like they have to say delicacy as a way to convince you that the weird, awful food you're about to eat is locally accepted.
Oh, this
Yeah.
fig drenched in olive oil.
Yeah.
No, like way worse.
Like worse. Like
way worse. Okay, I'm gonna read you. I'm gonna read you some of these.
Yeah.
'Cause
Like they drink urine over here, and you're like, oh, it's gross. They go, no, it's a delicacy, and you go, oh my god.
Shout out urine.
So yeah,
Okay.
it's a delicacy.
our pick of the world's most adventurous delicacies and where to find them.
We'll do a smash or pass on this.
Okay, this one grossed me out. I got to read this one. So, Casu Marzu, Italy, is where it's from.
Of course.
On the Mediterranean island of Sardinia, the aging of cheese is taken to putrid extremes. Rather than simply introducing bacteria to the maturing process, makers of Casa Marzu, it translates helpfully as rotten cheese, add egg-laying flies to a pecorino-like wheel. The insects deposit larvae in the cheese, which hatch into maggots. The resulting cheese is rich and silky soft, and the maggots are consumed alive. The EU banned it on safety grounds in the 1990s. Eat at your own risk.
Pretty sure that's how Spider-Man was conceived. You're just eating a bunch of maggots and cheese. Jesus. Who?
Like, and why does just calling it a delicacy make like so?
Yeah.
Somebody, if that
It
word
makes
didn't
it socially
exist,
acceptable.
and someone says, "Hey, do you want some gazu masu, whatever that was?
Yeah, some maggot cheese.
You want some maggot cheese?" And you go, "No,
I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
You're a freak, and I don't want to talk to you anymore." And then they go, "Oh, it's a delicacy." And you go, "Oh, that means some freaks in Italy eat it. I don't care still." Like, why does that word? Why does that word make it seem like we should want to eat it?
right?
Yeah. You're expanding
Yeah.
the palate, your flavor.
Become a part of the culture. But
My
it's-
favorite is okay. At least like Italy, they have taste there. Like, it would be something where if they say that tastes good, that maybe you try it. But there's parts where what they eat is just what's locally available. Doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
And it's a delicacy. It's just a delicacy in a place where maybe they can't have big crop fields, and so they eat millipedes.
What's available.
Yeah, what's available, and then it becomes a delicacy, and you're like, you're so restricted diet.
There's a restaurant in Denmark. The name escapes me, but it's like one of the most famous restaurants in the world. And basically, that's what they do. They go up this little farm in the fields, and they just pick everything that's available, and that's just what they make at the restaurant. They don't like,
We'll have to
I'm
look that
picturing
up.
like in Lion King when they had like those bowls of like they were just
yeah.
eating like they were gummy worms, like the
Yeah.
bowls of all the different grubs, and that's what I picture.
Did
for
you
that.
see the new one?
No,
I refuse to. I love the animation. I've heard it's very like soul sucking. Like I heard.
You know what
haven't
my
seen it.
worry is I love the original so much. I don't want to taint that. Like my
Exactly.
memories,
Anchorman.
and I'm worried that they're gonna put a lot into it. That's like they try to be so socially conscious with movies now that it might take away from just the feel of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they got it right with the first one. You know what they should do is they should just animate the first one exactly the same with that animation. Same words, same characters, same plot.
yeah.
I'd see that.
Make billions of dollars either way, just because the film's called The Lion King.
Yeah.
That's so marketable as it is.
So
What's another one here?
Round two.
was that a smash or a pass?
That's a big old passerino for me.
Yeah.
Okay, this is another one here. Fermented shark, Iceland. You might have heard of this actually.
Yeah.
The late Mr. Anthony Bourdain ate a lot of out there delicacies in his career as an international food correspondent. But there were, he said, 3 things he would never touch again: plain food, Namibian warthog rectum, and Icelandic fermented shark. The latter, known as hakarl, is cured and hung to dry for months, during which fermentation produces high levels of ammonia. First-timers are advised to hold their noses and attempt to reduce their gag reflex, which is unhelpfully triggered by the ammonia.
Ew.
Ammonia's pee, right? Pee smell.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know exactly, but
Why do all these things have like rectum in it, or
Yeah.
like maggot, or fermented?
like if
rotten.
I'm not going to go through the recipes
Yeah.
because there's a bunch of reading here, but like if you just listen to what these are called: rabbit brains, deep fried tarantula,
Oh, tight.
stuffed moose heart. That one's Canadian delicacy.
That sounds
Is it a
Canadian.
delicacy?
Is that delicacy?
It's
Like,
called.
when was the last time you had that?
It's called. You live somewhere where the main source of food comes from hunting, and you have to make a moose heart into. It's like you have to turn a bad thing when life gives you lemons. Make
Yeah,
lemonade.
I agree
Yeah.
with
They're
that.
making stuffed moose heart. It's when you have the option to go down the street and get a South Street burger, double patty, salted.
Ooh.
I'm not going and finding stuffed moose heart.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
sub that patty for a moose heart in between
No.
those buns.
So I think other than in a museum,
Yeah.
I could comfortably, if you give me a button right here that said remove the world's delicacies
Yeah.
from existence, I would hit it. I'd hit that button. Would you?
What about Kopi Luwak?
Okay.
What is that?
You hear that?
No.
No.
It's
Sounds Hawaiian.
coffee beans that come from cat poop.
Oh, okay. That sounds
Oh, I have heard of that actually.
logical.
Coffee
Delicacy.
beans that come from a cat poop.
So
What
like-
do they feed the
Hey,
cat?
they're from a cat.
The
It's-
cats eat the cherry, they poop it out, and they make that into coffee, and it's $80 a cup of coffee.
80?
80
Yeah, it's expensive.
Okay.
delicacy.
Oh, it's a delicacy. Oh.
Yeah, I'm good with my Timmy's.
Yeah.
Lord Dum
Next time you
Dum.
go into Timmy's, ask for whatever you just said. Yeah, I don't know. This whole delicacy, man, I would hit that button. I'd say As long as it was replaced with everybody that was eating those things with a South
Yeah.
Street burger,
Yeah.
I'd hit that button.
Isn't liver a delicacy? In some places, like what is it, pate or something?
Oh, dude, remember when we had pate that one time and it was puke?
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a sentence that's been said
At
a
the
lot.
sip bar.
Dude,
in history.
pate is the closest thing I could imagine to baby barf.
Yeah, that's up there.
Because babies
Yeah.
can't really chew stuff that well,
Yeah.
so it's got it's more of like a gelatin,
It-
and it tastes kind of like barfy a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why'd you have to torture an animal to get food this bad?
Sir, how are you enjoying your pate? It tastes kind of barfy.
It literally tastes barfy. I'd rather if it tasted that bad, but I knew that they just gave that goose or whatever it is like a really nice spa treatment for 3 years, and then took its liver, then I'd be like, okay, it tastes bad, but the fact that they had to torture a goose to make something that
Yeah.
awful,
You're talking about foie gras, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What was What was I saying? Pate.
You're saying liver,
Foie gras.
but it's just
Liver. Is it the same
the
thing?
tortured liver pate you're talking about.
You're talking to a guy with a limited palate over here. Okay, I think that's fine on the delicacy front.
Yeah.
We wanted to reserve like a few minutes on this podcast to get
Yeah.
that out of the air.
Yeah.
The other thing is we usually wrap things up with the tips for your 20s.
Uh-huh.
And, as 27, 28-year-olds, we're nowhere near out of our 20s right now.
Yes.
So we can comment on this. But as someone in the service industry,
Mm-hmm.
as someone who's, doesn't have that stable 9 to 5, there's a question that pops up a lot. Do you Uber X or do you Uber pool?
Or also, do you tip on your Uber?
Oh, okay, interesting.
I'm an Uber X guy, and I'm the guy that likes talking to the driver. I like asking what their story is and like who they are, and you can find out pretty quickly if they just don't want to talk back. So I usually just kind of like leave it at that. I meet some pretty cool people from all over the world. I find usually those are the guys driving for Uber and Lyft, people that are like just looking to make a little bit extra money to support their family, artists as well.
I agree with that.
Uber
you can,
pool.
but you can also tell when they're not cool.
Oh yeah,
Immediately.
immediately. Like,
Yeah.
good. And
Good.
you're like, all right, I'm gonna just.
And you-
But
sit back
also,
here.
you know what? As a rider, sometimes you feel that way too, and you're like,
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like, shut up. I don't want to talk to you either.
That I want to talk, but I agree 110%. I've used pool a couple times. I just find like that feels more like a forced, like
We're riding together. Let's have some fun. It's like, it's kind of.
Yeah. Do you have any like bad experiences, good experiences?
I went for a drink with a girl I met in an Uber pool, but I was with people.
oh.
And it was like me and my buddy Walter, and we went with a girl, and I got her number, and then I went for a drink with her, and that was it. Nothing else happened after that. But I was like,
Oh, maybe I could just like use Uber Pool like me, girl.
I
Just
bet
like,
you there's
no.
100
for
guys.
Sure.
There's a bunch of guys out there that automatically pool because they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna get a chick, dude.
so many babes in
yeah.
the car.
And then they get in the car and they're like, sup?
You know what? It's using Uber Pool as a way to pick up girls is probably equivalent to swiping on Tinder. You know?
oh yeah,
Like you only find
99% of the time you're not gonna get who you're
yeah.
looking for. No, that's a good experience. I don't know. I the only thing I've heard is I've had a good and a bad experience. I think you've had a bad experience.
Yeah, I got a pretty funny story. So after a date one night, I call an Uber Pool late night. It's down
Broke.
like yeah. yeah. You know what? I think this was one of the last times I stopped using Uber Pool. And actually, you know what? This and the fact that sometimes you just some drivers sometimes would take advantage of having you in the car. It would just be picking up everyone, and it'd be frustrating. You think, oh, I have so much time, I'll just like pool it, like save a bit of money here. But then they end up driving all
They
the
take long
fucking.
routes
it almost
to
takes
try to pick
longer, and
someone
it's not
else up.
even worth it. That would frustrate me. But anyways, I'm downtown. And I call an Uber Pool, King Street, and I'm sitting in the front seat with this driver, and we pull over and pick up 3 girls in the back.
And you're like, oh, leaving a date? Gonna get some other dates right now.
Let's go.
Let's go.
And anyways, so we're driving along. The one girl in the middle, she's not feeling too hot.
Uh-oh.
And we're going, and all of a sudden, this girl just she's sitting in the middle back seat. She just projectile vomits like all the way up.
Keep that mic centered. I need to hear every detail.
Sorry, projectiles all the way up the middle console area.
Oh.
And gets on my jacket, mostly on this driver though. This driver was, and he had what's it called? Not leather seats.
Oh shit! Yeah,
like the cloth. Yeah, the cloth seats. Exactly. Right? So this driver is I didn't know what was happening at first because I didn't get as much of it on me, but I just felt a little bit of wetness come across my way, and this driver was he was obviously foreign, and he starts fucking going off yelling shit chirping this girl. He pulls over immediately, and I sort of clue into what's going on, and this guy's covered in puke. His car is covered in puke, and we all get out of the car like, what is happening? He's just chirping. He's just chirping this girl relentlessly.
Did you get your money back?
Yeah, I sent a little note in.
Hey, got puked on in one of your Uber pools.
Yeah.
I'll take my
Sorry about that, Robbie. We'll refund you immediately.
We'll refund you your $3.50, you cheap bastard. Should have taken an X.
Exactly the kind of note that I got back. But yeah, that's my one.
Oh, it's brutal, man.
Uber pool story.
I've had a good experience where someone wrote me a love letter.
In the Uber pool.
Yes,
Wow.
but it kind of goes creepy after that. But I got dropped off first, so she had my address. Then she wrote a letter and mailed it to that address
That's
later,
kind of weird.
asking for drinks.
Oh, she was probably thinking this was her like Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan moment.
I respected it. Wrote a handwritten letter with stamps.
Ooh.
How did you end up responding to that?
I never did.
You didn't. Okay.
I ended up responding by not. I was like,
Okay.
what do I mail you back?
Yeah.
No, she gave her number, but no, I like when I was asking you questions about dating and stuff like that. I don't know. My kind of theories right now, and like at least at the time, was like I was living at home at the time, and I'm like, I'm not going on a fucking date.
Yeah.
Like, thanks.
You want to go play Mario Kart in my mom's basement?
Yeah, like my parents might go away in 2 weekends. Like, do you want to have dinner?
Yeah.
Like it's brutal. You know, the funny Uber pool stories I hear though is that a lot of adults that have no fucking idea technology will accidentally call Uber pool. Back in the day when Uber pool just was like introduced, it'd be the first option, and you'd swipe down to Uber X. So there's a lot of adults. I think a few friends' parents, including my own, had these stories of just like people getting into their Ubers and not knowing what's going on and being like, oh, it's like thinking it's a taxi and being like, sorry, I'm in here, and they're like, no, it's a pool. Like,
yo, I also got I got another funny story
jokes.
about this actually. So I was getting picked up along Eglinton in an Uber. This was an Uber X, not pool. And this car like happened to be dropping off like right. He was like passing by me and dropping someone off like around the corner, right? So as he was coming by, he saw me there. And so he picked me up while the other person was still in the car. And I get in the car, and it's this little girl in the back seat. And
a young girl?
Like, yeah, she was young. She was maybe, I don't know, like, 10, 11 or something. and she was on the phone with her mom. And she's talking, and she's like, oh, someone just got in the car. And she's like, why is there someone in the car? The mom starts freaking out. She's like, why is there someone in the car with my daughter? Like, get him out. She's like, let me speak to the Uber driver. Like this mom's freaking out. I mean, I'm like, whoa, like I'm like just sitting in the front seat.
Jokes.
And the Uber driver ended up pulling over because the mom was like threatening. She's like, I'm gonna call the cops. Like, why is there someone in there?
Oh my God.
So I had to get out so this guy could drive around the corner.
Jesus
to
Christ.
go drop this little girl off, and then he came and picked me up again. But it was weird.
Bizarre.
Okay, so I think from hearing these stories, and I've had bad experiences where my Uber pool brought me late night, like after the bar, just called an Uber pool and had like a 20-minute detour through some of the roughest hoods I've ever been through. And I was like, you know what? I could have paid $4 more
Yeah.
to avoid that. The guy in the back was making jokes about robbing the whole car and like stuff like that, and then would like laugh it off and be like, got you, man. I'm looking at the driver, and he's just like, he's doing the same thing to me. We're both just like not having a good time. We drop off that group, and he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm terrified. He's like, let's get out of here. Like we bonded over
You guys
it.
were on the same page.
I think the conclusion for Uber Pool versus X, X, save your life.
I like Uber X.
Don't get puked on.
Don't get barfed
It's just
on.
like not worth the hassle or the stress or.
Most people Uber pooling are probably suck.
And they have yet to be puked on.
Yeah. Though I'm saying like you like the chances of getting a great, wonderful person Uber pooling
Yeah.
is probably the same as, like you said, a Tinder or a Bumble.
You know what?
It's possible.
The few good times I did have good Uber pool experiences was when I lived at Eglinton and Spadina, and I would go to the Good Life at Yonge and Eglinton. You know the Dunfields there. So I would call an Uber pool to pick me up at the end of the street there, and the guy would never pick anyone up along
It
there.
was such a short journey.
And plus, this is when they were figuring out their discount codes. So I would get like $5 off anything at the time, right? So it was such a short trip. Plus, he wouldn't pick anyone up. I was paying like under $1 sometimes to go from my house to the gym. It was like more worth it for me to call an Uber as opposed to take the TTC. It was ridiculous. Yeah, I had a good little stretch there.
There was a period of time when no one was pooling where you could just get a cheap Uber.
Yeah.
And drivers started to get really rattled. That's why they would take these like long detour routes trying to wait.
Just looking for people.
Yeah,
on
just
the
waiting for something to pop up. But still, I'd say those days are over.
Yeah.
I'd say go X. And then do you tip?
If I have a really good conversation, I will, but frequently no, if I'm being honest. I get 5 stars basically everyone.
Yeah, 5 stars is a tip.
That
It's
is
like
a tip.
you're
Yeah.
you're like, here's a tip.
Helping.
I was gonna say,
Helping
here's
with
a
your
tip.
rating.
Yeah.
Get a better job. That'd be so rude to say.
Yeah. On your way out.
I thought about driving Uber. I thought that would be a good flexible
Yeah.
job.
Oh yeah, a lot of actors do it in the city and in LA. Apparently that's like the new surfing gig in LA.
You know what's funny is one of the reasons I did it was like, oh, what if I pick up like my ex-girlfriend's parents or some like
Someone.
friends that I know, and
Yeah.
then it turns out that if you bartend, that same scenario happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No way to avoid it.
There's something a little bit more embarrassing about driving Uber still currently. Maybe it'll start to normalize after a while, but at the moment it's still kind of on the level of, oh, you know who I bumped into the other day? Travis. Yeah, he was driving for Uber. Ooh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Must not be doing well.
things must not be going well.
Also, sometimes when you're not in the mood to speak with drivers, and then you see the driver you get matched with, and like they're
Great
rating,
conversationalist.
great conversation. You're like, fuck.
Yeah, you just cancel that.
Like immediately headphones in.
2 pairs of headphones on. Just like,
The key is you make a phone call right when you get in.
yeah.
Just call somebody.
Yeah.
Let them know that you ain't here to talk to them.
Yeah.
But dude, I think that was a fun. Can you believe it's been an hour and almost 10 minutes?
No. It flew by.
Flies by. Apologies again for not having creamy True History beer for you today.
Cerveza.
But thanks for coming on.
Yeah, this was tight. Thanks for having me, guys.
Dude, thanks so much.
And do you have any piece of advice or something to plug or anything to say to the listeners?
If you have a younger sibling or a child, get them to watch Bakugan. It's on Teletoon, YTV, Cartoon Network, and now Netflix.
And what character should they tell the writers that they love the most?
Lord Brakken.
Oh, right, you're a villain.
Yeah, I'm a villain. I'm a huge piece of shit. Like, huge piece of shit.
And then just your Instagram was the main one? No Twitter, no YouTube?
No, I don't. I gotta like figure that shit out. But Blake Johnstagram, and yeah, that's basically it.
Well, cheers,
Wicked.
man. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah.
And we will see you next Tuesday.
Let me spell it for you. Friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me. And N is for anywhere and anytime at all.
Down here in the deep blue sea. It's completely idiotic.
Through all the flowers. U is for ukulele.
N is for nose picking, sharing, comments and licking here with my best buddy.